Genesis chapter 12, God told Abraham that he was going to become the father of many nations, that his descendants would own all the land, and that he was going to be blessed and become a great blessing. When Abraham heard this promise, verse 8 says, he built an altar and worshiped the Lord. What's interesting is the promise hadn't come to pass. He wasn't a father. His wife Sarah was still barren, didn't have any children. He wasn't greatly blessed. He didn't own any land. Yet he built an altar simply to thank God for what he promised. This is showing us a principle. Don't wait for the promise to come to pass, but thank God in advance for what he said he would do. God, you said my children will be mighty in the land. There may not be any sign of it. They're off course, running with the wrong crowd. Joel, when it becomes a reality, then I'll thank God. No, do like Abraham, build your altar now. Thank God before you see the promise. That's what faith is all about. When God sees you at the altar, when he hears you thanking him, praising him, declaring his goodness, that's when angels go to work. That's when doors will open, healing will come, favor is released. Lord, you said I would lend and not borrow. You said my cup would run over. You said I would have a bountiful year. That's the promise. Now build the altar. Lord, thank you that you're my provider. Thank you that you have supernatural increase. Lord, thank you that you take pleasure in prospering me. Or maybe you're dealing with an illness. God said he would restore health back into you. He said he would heal you of your wounds. Well, when I feel better, I'm going to build that altar. Oh, build it now. That's what's going to activate the healing. Lord, thank you that I am healed. Thank you that I will run and not be weary, that strength, energy, vitality is flowing through me right now. Abraham left that place where he built the altar and traveled to a different area. By this time, he had become very blessed with cattle, silver, and gold. He was seeing the promise come to pass. His nephew Lot and all of his flocks were there with him, and the land couldn't support them both. He told Lot to choose where he wanted to go, and Abraham would relocate. Well, Lot chose the best part of the land, the place with plenty of springs and lush pastures. Looked like a garden. Abraham got stuck with just the opposite. His land was dry, barren, not nearly as desirable. Didn't seem fair. Abraham should have gotten to choose, but he took the high road. After this disappointment, after he was having to start over, God came to him and said, Abraham, look around, for as far as you can see, I'm going to give you that land for you and your descendants. What did Abraham do? The scripture says he built an altar to the Lord. Didn't have the land yet. He was discouraged, coming off a disappointment, but he began to thank God for what he promised. He knew the power of an altar. They didn't wait for the fulfillment, for the land to become theirs. They thanked God in advance. God has spoken promises to all of us. He's whispered things in your spirit that may seem impossible. How can you accomplish that dream? How can you get well? How can your family be restored? You have the promise. Now do your part and build the altar. Thank God that it's on the way. Remind him of his greatness. Go back over some of your am I not the God stories. Make them personal. Are you not the God that opened this door I couldn't open? Are you not the God that prospered me despite how I was raised? Are you not the God that freed me from the addiction, that blessed me with a spouse, that protected me in the pandemic, that turned my child around, that caused that contract to go through? When you look back at the altars you built, you thank God for what he's done. That's fuel for your faith. That makes it easier to build those altars looking forward, thanking God for what he's about to do. Lakewood was started on Mother's Day in 1959. My parents were coming off a great disappointment. My father had been pastoring for many years when they asked him to leave the church. They didn't like his new message of faith and victory, and my parents were so discouraged. They felt the sting of rejection. Didn't seem fair. But God wouldn't have allowed the disappointment if he didn't have a purpose for it. It looked like a setback, but really it was a setup to move them into a new level of their destiny. There was a lady that owned an old rundown feed store. She told my parents that they could use that little building for a church. That's where they started Lakewood, never knowing what God was up to. The truth is, they had to be pushed out. They had to be asked to leave. It was a part of God's divine plan. And instead of being bitter, they built an altar. They said, God, thank you for this little building. Thank you for this opportunity. They never dreamed it would be what it is today. But we look back now at that altar that was built 64 years ago, and we can say, Lord, thank you for your faithfulness. Thank you for sustaining us. We recognize we have not done this on our own. This is your hand of blessing. When things get difficult, I can hear God saying, am I not the God that gave you the feed store? Am I not the God that sustained you when people said it wouldn't last? Am I not the God that took the original 90 members and multiplied them into thousands? Am I not the God that turned that disappointment into a blessing that would take you into the Compact Center? When you remember what God has done, gives you faith to believe for the greater things He has in store. In the scripture, Jacob was dishonest. He tricked his father into giving him the blessing that belonged to his older brother Esau. He had already cheated Esau out of his birthright. When Esau found out about this, he was furious. Jacob had to flee for his life. He went far away and worked for his uncle Laban, all the while in hiding, hoping that Esau wouldn't find out. 20 years went by. Jacob wanted to return home. He didn't know what Esau would think, so he sent messengers to tell Esau that he wanted to see him. Esau agreed. Their two parties met on the road. It was this incredible moment, this drama. You can imagine how apprehensive Jacob was, thinking this may be the end. He may want revenge. He could wipe me and my whole family out. The big moment finally arrived. Esau came up with 400 men. I'm sure Jacob thought, oh great, a whole army. Esau walked over, reached out both arms and hugged Jacob. He kissed him. They both had tears running down their cheeks. Esau went and hugged Jacob's wives and their children. There was little Joseph, Jacob's young son, watching all this take place. He'd been so worried. He'd heard about the feud between his father and Esau. He was expecting the worst, but he saw his uncle Esau treat his father with such kindness. Esau told Jacob to follow him and he'd lead the way home. When Jacob arrived, the scripture says, Jacob built an altar there and named it El Elohi, which means the mighty God. Jacob didn't just take it for granted, think, man, I got lucky. No, he built an altar and said this was the mighty God. This was something greater than I ever imagined. We all have these times we can say like Jacob, that was the mighty God. Getting the Compact Center, the mighty God. Healing my mother of cancer, the mighty God. Freeing you from that addiction, the mighty God. Turning your child around, the mighty God. Yes, you may have some big challenges. Let me encourage you, the mighty God is still at work. The mighty God is still healing. The mighty God is still parting Red Seas, still defeating giants, still raising Lazarus, still opening supernatural doors. Every morning when little Joseph would go out, he would see that altar that his father built out of thanksgiving to God for resolving the conflict. Fast forward 30 years. Now Joseph was second in command of all of Egypt. The great famine in the land, his brothers came to the palace to try to buy food. These were the same brothers that had thrown him into a pit 13 years earlier, eventually sold him as a slave. The brothers that were so jealous that they betrayed him and made his life miserable. Now they were standing before Joseph, but they didn't recognize him. This was his big chance to get revenge. He can finally pay them back. But Joseph's mind went back to that scene where he saw his uncle forgive his father. He remembered the altar at their house, always out playing, seeing it. That said to him, am I not the God that brought peace when you should have had conflict? Am I not the God that caused Esau to forgive? Am I not the God that showed your father mercy for his mistakes? The God who gave him a second chance? Joseph could have gotten revenge. Instead, he treated his brothers like Esau treated his father. He forgave them. He was kind. He had them all come to Egypt and live with him. When you're constantly building altars, recognizing God's goodness, thanking him for what he's done, it's not just affecting you, it's affecting your children, your grandchildren. What if Jacob had not built that altar? What if he had thought, man, I was just lucky. Esau didn't destroy me. I'm glad he's in a good mood. Wouldn't be talking about Jacob. Probably wouldn't be talking about Joseph. Are you missing blessings, favor, breakthroughs because you're not building an altar? At the place you build an altar, God says he's going to bless you. My challenge to us is let's build a lot of altars. Be aware of the goodness of God in your life. Take time every day to thank him. Look back at the great things he's done. You've had times where you saw the mighty God at work, doing what only he can do. Remember those, am I not the God moments? Am I not the God that healed you, that freed you, that promoted you, that sustained you? If you'll build your altars, I believe and declare you're going to see the mighty God do things you've never dreamed.